Hi! I'm Barb.
And I'm Alex.
And we're Enchanterium. In today's video, we'll be making the final doll in this 3-part Team Rocket series, Jessie. You guys have been waiting for this one, so let's go!
We knew from the beginning we wanted to use a Reboot Raven Queen doll from Ever After High. I'm going to use her head only, as the body doesn't have articulation in knees, ankles and wrists. I want her to be the same kind of hybrid as our Stormy and Darcy dolls, a reboot head with the original Raven body. It's honestly one of my favorite combinations, a pretty smiley face that doesn't look like a pancake, and articulated limbs on the body. I'm quickly preparing the doll for customizing, getting rid of her original hair and face. Jessie is known for a very stylized hairstyle with a swirl at the end. We agreed that this type of hair looks better in 2 dimensions, especially in more cartoony looking mediums like in anime, games and drawings. I'm sure her hairstyle can be achieved in doll customizing with wire and yarn wefts, but for our Meowth and James, we took a more realistic approach, and I want her to be a part of this aesthetic. So forgive us, but our Jessie won't have her iconic hair. We considered this pink yarn, but we chose this nylon hair we used for Iris, the Spirit of Light. It's plum gem nylon from the Door Hair Emporium. I think Jessie would look good in a high ponytail, and I'm going to reroot only the outside part. It's so much faster than a full reroot, and the ponytail is going to look much more natural. When it's finished, I poured some polymer glue to secure the hair from the inside, and hot boiling water over it to flatten the hair. Then, when it dries, I can secure the fibers from being destroyed by sealant with a piece of cloth. I always start the face with 2 or 3 layers of Mr. Super Clear matte sealant to create a paper-like texture. Thanks to this texture, I can easily draw the face features with watercolor pencils. I'm starting with a light brown pencil so I can easily remove it when I make a mistake. I'm adding life to the plastic with peach and pink chalk pastels and a fluffy makeup brush. I think a good type of brush is key to a natural look of shading, blushing and highlights, so choose a fluffy blending brush that doesn't leave too much pigment on the surface. For making more precise shading, I'm using my old detail brush that doesn't really work for detail anymore. I'm working in layers, spraying with MSC every time I want to save the progress. Jessie is the most bossy, mischievous and mean person in the Team Rocket trio. You either love her or hate her because she might be quite annoying. We received a few requests to make Jessie more masculine, but for me Jessie is a very feminine character. She has a very high self-esteem, calls herself beautiful and cute whenever she can, she aspires to be a famous actress, and loves money and wealth. Even when they cross-dress with James, she often wears clothes that accentuate her female silhouette. In my headcanon, James is gender fluid and he enjoys being perceived as a woman, but for Jessie it's more like a costume, a role to play. I want her expression to be confident and a bit seductive, like she was posing for a picture. I'm giving her a lot of pastels in the corners of the eyes for an illusion of depth and to create a light nude makeup. To make her a bit more sassy looking, I decided to make one of her brows higher. After another layer of matte sealant, I can start building the colors on the eyes and eyebrows. White color is not the easiest to build, so I'm switching to acrylic paints. I'm painting the whites of the eyes and applying it under her eyes. I just made a little bit of a mess with black pencil there and I need to cover it. Somewhere in the process, my sketch of the eyelashes disappeared, and I'm sketching new ones, first with brown pencil, and then going over them with black. I like to add a few layers of micro glitter, so the face has some sparkly texture. To make her eyes more interesting, I'm drawing a few white lines and catchlights. The last layer of Pearl-X powder and the face is ready. Almost every Ever After High doll we customized had the same broken neck problem, but that's a lot of damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
Fortunately, I have almost all the pieces and I can glue them back together with super glue. This doll came to us without a right hand, and I couldn't find a matching color, but I will try to blend it in. I sprayed the doll with MSC, and using chalk pastels and Parallax powder, I started adding colors to the arms, collarbone area, chest, belly, and knees. I think I did 2 layers of this treatment. Let's go back to the hair. I want to use the same technique I used for Icy and Riku, and it's just adding hair fibers to the scalp with white glue. I'm trying to avoid going too close to the hairline, so the hair won't peek through. As you can see, it makes the hair look fuller and the scalp is not visible anymore. I usually try to put the head back on the body before the face up, but I forgot this time, so let's do it quickly right now. Her hair lays kind of flat on the top part of the head, so I'm going to add a bit of volume to it. I'm building the bulk right to the hairline, on the center part, using silk clay. After painting it purple and gluing the hair on, it looks like this. I think it suits her better than the flat hair. To be honest, she looks a lot like the original Raven Queen, just more mature and in different style. I did the ponytail with wire and pins to hold the wire in place. And for her iconic green earrings, I'm using pins too.
This video is sponsored by Skillshare. Skillshare is an online learning community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people. Explore new skills, develop existing interests, and get lost in creativity. It's curated specifically for learning, meaning there's no ads, and they're always launching new premium classes, so you can stay focused and follow wherever your creativity takes you. This month, I decided to watch Embroidery on Photographs with 10 Simple Stitches by Peggy Dane to brush up on some embroidery techniques, and I thought doing it on photographs is such a cool way to learn it. I'm already planning on how to add some embroidery to our doll project soon. So if you want to join Skillshare's creative community, the first 1,000 of our subscribers to click the link in the description will get a 1-month free trial of Skillshare so you can start exploring your creativity today. Now, let's make some clothes for Jessie. Her outfit will be pretty simple, yet fashionable. Let's start with a pencil skirt. Using some white cotton and a pattern from Requiem Arts Design, I'm cutting all the needed pieces. I am, as per usual, using my rotary cutter and a mat to get this job done. I'll sew the front and backs at the side seams first. To press the curved seams open, I will use my favorite whale plushie. Say hi to Boltzmann! Now that we have the seams nice and flat, I can hem the bottom of the skirt. If you thought I was making a plain white skirt, you would be wrong. I'm going to add a vinyl design with the letter R and a snag to tie all of our dolls together in a series. I cut all the layers on my Cricut machine and weeded out all of the unnecessary parts. The snake there is to represent Ekans, one of Jessie's Pokemon from the original series. But since we didn't have a purple vinyl, I cut it out of pink. After gauging the position of the design, slightly overlapping the side seam, I pressed the layers on one by one, making sure everything lines up. The fabric was wrinkling a little bit since it's not a flat piece, so I used some pins to help it stay a bit more taut. Here you can see me play an imaginary piano along to some K-pop song that was playing while I was waiting for the adhesive to stick. As per usual, I am pressing the whole print with a cloth afterwards to even out the texture of the vinyl. I've been asking you guys for tips on pressing multi-layered vinyl for a while now, but none of you seem to want to help me out. We can now resume the sewing process. I am hemming the waist first, and then connecting the back pieces at the bottom. After that, I can check the fit to see how much room I have for closure. I decided that since it was quite tight, I will add some beads and elastic loops. It's been one of my favorite closure methods lately. For the upper part of the body, I will be making a fluffy jacket. I'm using Delightful's oversized jacket pattern, but only using the bodice and sleeve pieces. I cut them out of a pink, fur-like fabric, and I used scissors this time to help preserve the fluffiness on the cut edges. I tried to slide my scissor blade close to the backing fabric, but I quickly got tired of it, and decided that the difference wasn't noticeable enough to go through all that effort. I connected the front and back at the shoulder seams and pinned the sleeves in. I thought I might need to sew the sleeves in by hand, but my machine surprisingly had no issues with sewing through this thick fabric, even without a special foot. I closed the sleeves and side seams and turned the jacket over with some help of a crochet hook. After trying the jacket on, I decided to shorten it a little bit to reveal more of the print on the skirt and cut down the sleeves too. Looking cute! The last thing I'll make for her are shoes. I'll be using my favorite shoemaking guide, Moonlight Jewels ebook. I printed the platforms that come with the book on our 3D printer, and I'm prepping the doll's feet with a little bit of foil. My best hack for cutting this foil is to slide a knife along. It's easy to just rip off after that. I wrapped the feet thoroughly to make sure I can remove the shoes later. I wanted to temporarily glue the platforms to the feet, but my gel super glue was just not cooperating with me. I thought I'd used white glue instead, and it was definitely happy to see me, but even with some rubber bands, it just didn't work. In the end, I found some other super glue bottle, and after some shaking, poking, and praying, ladies and gentlemen, we got him. In the guide, Elisa says to use air drying clay for this, but I'm not too comfortable doing that, so instead I created the base using paper mache. I have a watered down glue mix in a jar, and I ripped some toilet paper to create the toe box. The upper of the shoe will be made with this silver holographic material. I checked to find the direction of the biggest stretch to make sure I'm cutting the pattern right. I cut out 2 ankle-length pieces for both of the feet. Since the fabric won't fray, I didn't hem the top to reduce the bulk. I just sewn the back seam on both pieces and turned them over to the right side. I removed the heel bases from the feet and slipped the uppers on the feet. Then I put the heels back on and pulled the uppers down where they should be. Using some white glue, I made sure the uppers are securely attached to the bottoms. I played around with the shoes and smoothed everything out until I was satisfied with the look. It looks a bit funny right now. Some parts didn't stick, so I did a second pass of glue and made sure to tie it down with some rubber bands. After the glue dried, I trimmed the fabric flush to the bottom of the shoe. The last part to glue on is the sole. I made mine with a piece of thin white craft foam and attached it mostly with white glue, but I added a line of super glue at the back to hold everything together while the white glue dried. The shoes turned out great and are giving me Wink's first transformation vibes. I love it.
I'm sculpting a simple top using epoxy sculpt and silicone tools. She looks too much like the original Raven, so to contrast this image, I'm going to use a lot of light colors in her outfit and paint the top with white acrylic paint. It took a lot of watered down layers to achieve an opaque look. The Team Rocket logo needs some adjustments. I'm going to paint the pink part with light purple paint. I chose Ekans because it suits the silhouette better. Our version of James has his Pokemon tattooed, but I think Jessie is not that emotionally connected to her Pokemon, and she would prefer to have Pokemon accessories. Just like in one Sun and Moon episode where she has an Arbok pen. I like little details like painting nails, and I was considering red, but I think Jessie likes white a bit more. We have sparkly boots, and we missed something equally sparkling on the top. Since the top is sculpted, I can glue the pieces directly to her body without any regrets. It turned out to look like something a K-pop star would wear, right? I have these 2 snakes made from epoxy sculpt leftovers that I made without any specific concept in mind. We're going to transform one of them into a Sea Viper bracelet, but spoiler, it didn't survive. The neck cracked and broke and I couldn't rescue him. I tried all the glues I had, but it kept cracking. I made a second version out of silk clay, so it's flexible and can't be broken that easily. This one is a lot smaller and it fits well on the upper arm. The last accessory is a bag. I eyeballed the pattern and made it from a light cardboard. To connect the pieces, I'm using regular white glue. Then I'm covering it with the same glittery fabric that we used for the boots and top. Off camera, I glued the belt from craft foam. I wanted to use dust stalks as a reference for the decorative part of the bag, but I couldn't make it work. I tried 3 times and I didn't like it, so I chose to make this part from red craft foam and paint the little button in the shape of Woobat's nose. I'm simply gluing this red part to the front, and after it dried, I bend it and glue it to the back. With this method, the bag could be opened if there was some button or a magnet installed, but I decided to glue it in place.
This is how she turned out. This series has been on our minds for a very long time, so I'm glad we finally managed to make time in our schedule to make Meowth, James, and Jessie. We love making our own characters, but sometimes it's nice to have a break and take an existing design and Enchanteriumify them.
What do you think of our Team Rocket trio? Who's your favorite? Do you think we should include Wobbuffet in this project? Let us know in the comments down below.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram for some sneak peeks and subscribe for future videos. Have an enchanted day, and we'll see you next time. I just bonked the microphone again. Bye!
Do you think we should include wah 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 wah?